There's a moment on a Sunday morning when you're lying in bed half awake, imagining the life you want, the relationship that feels right, the work that doesn't drain you, the version of yourself that's calmer, clearer, more confident. You picture it vividly, the details, the feelings, the freedom. And for those few minutes, it feels real, possible. Like if you could just hold on to that feeling long enough, it would materialize. So you try. You visualize, you repeat affirmations in the mirror, you make vision boards and write intentions in journals. You do everything the videos and books tell you to do. And then you go to work. You sit in traffic, you check your bank account, you have the same argument with your partner. And the gap between what you imagined and what you're living feels enormous. So you wonder if you're doing it wrong, if you don't believe hard enough, if manifestation even works, or if it's just wishful thinking dressed up in spiritual language. And the frustration builds, because you want to believe, you want to trust that your thoughts create your reality, but the evidence, the day-to-day grind, keeps telling you otherwise. This tension shows up everywhere. At work, you watch someone get promoted who seems less qualified, and you think, they just got lucky. But another part of you wonders if they manifested it somehow, if they had some secret belief system you're missing. In relationships, you see couples who seem effortlessly happy, and you tell yourself they're just faking it. But what if they're not? What if they've cracked some code about attracting the right person, and you're still stuck repeating the same patterns? At home, scrolling through social media, you see people living the lives you want, traveling, thriving, glowing. And they're all posting about manifestation, gratitude, high vibrations. So you try again. You set an intention, you affirm, you visualize, and nothing changes. Or worse, things get harder. You lose the job, the relationship ends, the money runs out, and you're left wondering if you manifested that too? If your doubts and fears are more powerful than your hopes. The whole thing starts to feel like a setup. Like, you're being told that if it's not working, it's your fault. You're not positive enough. You're not aligned enough. You're blocking your own blessings. And that weight, the weight of being responsible for everything that happens to you, is exhausting. This belief that you can think your way into a better life didn't come from nowhere. It grew out of decades of self-help culture, positive thinking movements, and a misunderstanding of both psychology and quantum physics. In the early 1900s, the New Thought movement taught that thoughts are things, that the mind shapes reality. By the mid-2000s, books like The Secret repackaged these ideas for a mainstream audience, promising that the universe responds to your vibration like a cosmic vending machine. Ask, believe, receive. It sounds empowering, and for some people, in some situations, focusing on what you want does help. It shifts attention, it creates clarity, it builds momentum. But somewhere along the way, the message got distorted. Manifestation stopped being about aligning action with intention and started being about magical thinking. The idea that if you just think positively enough, reality will bend to match your desires. No effort, no strategy, just vibes. And when it doesn't work, which is most of the time, people are left feeling like failures, like they're doing life wrong. The pressure to stay positive becomes another burden, another way to feel inadequate when life gets hard. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Thoughts don't create reality, not in the way manifestation culture claims. You can't visualize your way out of systemic inequality. You can't affirm away mental illness. You can't manifest money if you don't have the skills, resources, or opportunities to earn it. The universe doesn't care about your vision board. But, and this is where it gets interesting, your thoughts do shape your experience of reality. They influence what you notice, what you believe is possible, and how you respond to what happens. Psychologists call this the reticular activating system. It's the part of your brain that filters information, deciding what's relevant and what's noise. When you focus on something, say red cars, you start seeing red cars everywhere. Not because you manifested them, but because your brain is now tuned to notice them. The same thing happens with opportunities, ideas, and possibilities. When you're focused on scarcity, you see evidence of scarcity. When you're focused on possibility, you notice openings you might have missed before. That's not magic, that's attention. And attention is powerful. But it's not the same as manifesting reality out of thin air. The real issue with manifestation culture isn't that it's entirely wrong, it's that it's incomplete. And worse, it's often used to bypass the hard, unglamorous work of actually changing your life. Someone says they want a better job, but won't update their resume. They want a healthier relationship, but won't have the difficult conversation. They want financial stability, but won't examine their spending or learn new skills. Instead, they affirm, they visualize, they wait for the universe to deliver. And when it doesn't, they blame themselves for not believing hard enough. This is where manifestation becomes toxic. It takes responsibility, which can be empowering, and twists it into shame. You didn't get what you wanted because you weren't good enough. You weren't positive enough. You weren't aligned. It's your fault. And that's not just unhelpful, it's cruel. It ignores systemic barriers, mental health struggles, economic realities, and plain old bad luck. It puts the entire burden of success on the individual while ignoring everything outside their control. So what's the alternative? How do you work with intention and focus without falling into magical thinking or self-blame? It starts with understanding the difference between what you can control and what you can't. You can't control outcomes, you can't control other people. You can't control the economy, the weather, or whether someone texts you back. But you can control your attention, your actions, and how you respond to what happens. That's where the real power is. Not in thinking your way into a new reality, but in building it, one choice, one action, one response at a time. This isn't as sexy as manifestation promises. It doesn't fit on a motivational poster, but it works slowly, imperfectly, reliably. First, get clear on what you actually want, not the Instagram version, not the vision board version, the real version. What does it look like in your day-to-day life? If you say you want financial freedom, what does that mean? Never worrying about bills? Working less? Having savings? Be specific, because vague desires lead to vague actions, and vague actions lead nowhere. Maria, a teacher in her early 30s, spent years saying she wanted to write a book. She visualized it, she journaled about it, she told people it was her dream. But when she sat down and asked herself what she actually wanted, the answer surprised her. She didn't want to write a book. She wanted to feel creative. She wanted a project that was hers, not dictated by her job. Once she got clear on that, she started a blog. It wasn't a book, but it was real. And it gave her what she actually wanted: a creative outlet, a sense of ownership, a space to express herself. Clarity isn't about lowering your standards. It's about knowing what you're aiming for so you can take actual steps toward it. Write it down, make it concrete. Not, I want to be happy, but I want work that doesn't leave me drained by Wednesday. Not, I want love, but I want a partner who communicates openly and respects my boundaries. Second, identify the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Not to judge yourself, but to see what's actually in the way. If you want a better job, is it skills, connections, confidence, a resume that doesn't reflect your value? If you want a healthier relationship, is it communication, boundaries, unresolved patterns from past relationships? This isn't about manifestation. It's about honest assessment, and it requires you to stop romanticizing the outcome and start looking at the process. Jake wanted to start a business. He spent months visualizing success, reading entrepreneur stories, imagining himself as a CEO. But when he finally looked at the gap, he realized he didn't know how to manage money, didn't have a business plan, and was terrified of failure. So instead of continuing to visualize, he took a course on marketing. Basic accounting. He wrote a simple business plan. He started small, selling one product to one person. The business didn't explode overnight, but it existed, and that was more than his vision board ever delivered. The gap isn't a judgment, it's a map. It shows you where to start. Third, take the smallest possible action. Not the most inspiring action, not the action that looks good on social media. The smallest, most boring, most unglamorous step you can take today. If you want to write, write one sentence. If you want to get fit, do 5 push-ups. If you want to improve your relationship, send one kind text. Manifestation culture loves the big leap, the bold move, the quantum shift, the overnight transformation. But real change happens in tiny, unremarkable increments, and those increments add up. Emma wanted to leave her corporate job and work for herself. She spent 2 years visualizing it, talking about it, waiting for the right moment. Finally, she stopped waiting and started acting. She spent 30 minutes every Sunday building a website. Then she sent one pitch to one potential client, then another. 6 months later, she had enough freelance work to quit her job. Not because she manifested it, but because she acted consistently, imperfectly, incrementally. The small actions don't feel significant in the moment, but they compound, and compounding is more powerful than any vision board. Fourth, notice what you're paying attention to. Your attention is the most powerful tool you have, not because it creates reality, but because it shapes what you see, what you believe, and what you do next. If you're constantly focused on what's missing, you'll see more lack, not because you're manifesting it, but because that's where your attention is. If you're focused on what's working, you'll notice more opportunities. Again, not magic, just focus. Try this. At the end of each day, write down 3 things that went right. Not big things, small things. You had a good conversation. You finished a task. You felt calm for 5 minutes. This isn't toxic positivity, it's attention training. You're teaching your brain to notice what's working so it stops only seeing what's missing.
Sarah, a nurse, started doing this during a particularly hard year. At first, it felt forced. She'd write, "I didn't yell at anyone today," and feel ridiculous. But over weeks, something shifted. She started noticing small wins in real time. A patient thanking her, a coworker making her laugh, 10 minutes of quiet before her shift. Her circumstances didn't change, but her experience of them did, because her attention changed. Fifth, let go of the timeline. Manifestation culture loves to promise fast results. Manifest your dream life in 30 days. Attract your soulmate by next month. Shift your vibration overnight. It's all bullshit. Real change takes time. Messy, frustrating, non-linear time. You take 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You make progress, then plateau. You have breakthroughs, then setbacks. And none of it means you're doing it wrong. It means you're doing it. Ben wanted to heal his relationship with his father. He set an intention, had one honest conversation, and thought it would shift everything. It didn't. His father shut down. They didn't talk for weeks. Ben felt like he'd failed. But 6 months later, after smaller conversations, more honesty, and a lot of patience, something did shift. Not because of manifestation, but because of consistency. Real change doesn't happen on your timeline. It happens on its own. And trying to force it only creates more frustration. Trust the process. Even when it's slow, even when it's boring, especially then. Sixth, stop trying to control outcomes. This is the hardest one, because manifestation culture trains you to believe that if you do everything right, you'll get what you want. But life doesn't work that way. You can do everything right and still not get the job, still lose the relationship, still face setbacks. And that's not failure, that's life. The goal isn't to control what happens. It's to show up, take action, and stay flexible when things don't go as planned. Dana applied to her dream job. She visualized it, prepared extensively, nailed the interview, and didn't get it. She was devastated. But 3 months later, a different opportunity came up, one she never would have considered before.
She took it, and it turned out to be a better fit than the original job ever would have been. Not because the universe had a plan, but because she stayed open, kept acting, and didn't let one rejection stop her. Outcomes are outside your control, but your response to them isn't, and that response determines everything that comes next. 7th, examine your beliefs about effort. Manifestation culture often frames effort as a sign you're not aligned. If it's meant to be, it'll be easy. If you're struggling, you're forcing. But that's not how life works. Real progress requires effort, discomfort, repetition. And none of that means you're off track. It means you're building something. The belief that everything should flow effortlessly keeps people stuck in waiting mode. They don't apply for the job because it feels hard. They don't have the conversation because it feels forced. They don't take the step because it doesn't feel aligned, and so nothing changes. Liam wanted to get in shape. He tried visualizing his ideal body, hoping it would motivate him. It didn't. Finally, he stopped waiting to feel motivated and just started. He went to the gym even when it felt hard. He ate better even when it felt boring. 6 months later, he looked and felt different. Not because he manifested it, but because he did the work. Effort isn't evidence you're doing it wrong. It's evidence you're doing it at all. 8th, build skills instead of waiting for signs. Manifestation culture teaches you to wait for the universe to send signals, synchronicities, signs, nudges. And sometimes noticing patterns can be helpful, but often it becomes an excuse to avoid taking action. You're waiting for the perfect sign, the right timing, the aligned opportunity. Meanwhile, life is passing. Instead of waiting, build. Learn the skill you need for the job you want. Practice the communication style you need for the relationship you want. Develop the habits you need for the life you want. The universe doesn't send opportunities to people who aren't ready for them. It sends them to people who've built the capacity to receive them. Marcus wanted to switch careers into tech. He spent months looking for signs that it was the right move. Finally, a friend asked, "What are you waiting for?" Marcus realized he was waiting for permission that would never come, so he stopped waiting and started learning. He took a free coding course, then another. 6 months later, he had a portfolio. A year later, he had a new job, not because the universe gave him a sign, but because he built the bridge. 9th, practice detachment from specific outcomes. This doesn't mean not caring. It means caring deeply about your actions and values while releasing attachment to exactly how things unfold. You want a relationship, but you're not attached to it being with this specific person. You want financial stability, but you're not attached to it coming from this specific job. You want fulfillment, but you're not attached to it looking exactly like you imagined. This flexibility allows you to adapt, pivot, and recognize opportunities you might otherwise miss. Chloe wanted to move to a specific city. She visualized it, planned for it, saved for it. But when the time came, the opportunity fell through. She was crushed. Then a different city came up, one she'd never considered. She almost said no because it wasn't the plan, but she went, and it ended up being exactly what she needed. Not because the universe redirected her, but because she stayed open to possibilities beyond her original vision. Over time, as you shift from magical thinking to intentional action, life starts to feel different. Not perfect, not easy, but more aligned with who you actually are and what you actually want. You stop waiting for the universe to deliver and start building with your own hands. Relationships improve, not because you manifested a perfect partner, but because you learned to communicate, set boundaries, and show up honestly. Work shifts, not because you visualized success, but because you developed skills, took risks, and learned from failures. Your internal state changes, not because you affirmed away your problems, but because you faced them, processed them, and grew through them. You're still you, still flawed, still figuring it out, but you're no longer waiting for permission from the universe to take action. You're no longer blaming yourself when things don't go as planned. You're building a life based on what you can control: your attention, your choices, your responses, and letting go of the rest. The Sunday morning when you lay in bed imagining a different life wasn't wasted. That vision, that desire, that longing, it matters. But it's not a destination, it's information. It's telling you what you value, what you want, what feels true. The work isn't to manifest it through thought alone. The work is to translate that vision into small, unglamorous, consistent actions. To notice the opportunities your focused attention reveals. To build the skills, the relationships, the habits that move you closer to what you want. To stay flexible when things don't go as planned. And to stop treating yourself like a failure when life doesn't match your vision board. Manifestation isn't about bending reality to your will. It's about aligning your attention, your actions, and your responses with what matters most. And then showing up, again and again. Not because the universe will reward you, but because this is your life, and you get to build it. If this resonated with you, subscribe for more videos on psychology, personal growth, and the inner work that actually leads somewhere. Drop a comment and let me know. Have you tried manifestation? What's worked for you and what hasn't? I read everyone.